like right after I found out that I wanted to do it and told Michael. And it was like over something completely different than what I'm doing now. And it was kind of judgy. It was kind of mean. And good idea I didn't do it because that was terrible. But so now I'm going to talk about being a Christian as a teenager, being in high school, and the struggles you deal with. So even though I've been raised in a church my whole life, and even though I'm only 16, pretty young, I have a voice, and I'm going to use it. So I just want to... So as I said, I've grown up in church, grown up in a Christian family. My dad's a pastor, and I wasn't always proud about that. You know, I would tell people my dad's a pastor, like, I didn't want my friends to come to church with me because my mom danced around crazy. And I was just embarrassed about all of that stuff. Like, I was embarrassed that my parents were so strong in their faith. And I didn't truly know God until around Camp Freedom. And it, like, changed everything. Like, I'm young, and I wouldn't say, like, I still have a lot to go, but I'm glad that I found God when I was young. So I used to, if you know me, I'm a fashionista, you know. So basically, for like a long time, I put my worth in the world and not God for a long time. And I cared a lot about what other people thought about me, especially in middle school and a freshman in high school. You know, if someone told me like they didn't like my outfit, would never wear it again. If someone told me that I sounded weird or something I said was stupid, never again. I cared so much about what people thought of me. So even though I cared about what everyone else thought of me, they didn't die for me. They didn't die on the cross for me. And I never had a thought pop into my head about what God thought of me. So all that gave me was anxiety of who I was and whose I was. But in Camp Freedom, which I recommend going to if you're young, I was surrounded by other teenagers who wanted to know God, and it was a whole different place to be. So when I found God, it was like something just switched. Like, I felt so much better. Like, all the anxiety was gone, and I'm going to be honest, I don't care what any of you think of me anymore. You didn't die for me on the cross, so why should I? So even though I'm young, I still have somewhat of a testimony. I was, like, lukewarm for a long time. And, you know, like I said, I hated going to church. People would ask me if my dad was a pastor. I'd be like, oh, no, he just does construction and crap, you know. And, but now, Sunday's my favorite day of the week, and I wake up so thankful that I was born into a God-fearing family, and I'm so thankful and appreciate my parents so much for working so hard to bring me and my siblings to know Christ. I'm sure all of you, most of you, have been in high school, and it's rough. It's rough for sure, and once I gave my life to Christ, I really, my eyes opened. Like, I started to see how bad this world truly was and how bad it needs Jesus. Like, being in high school, it hurts me to see, I've gone in the same school my whole life. So it hurts to see people I've known since kindergarten, people I've grown up with, so lost in the world. And once I started my relationship with God, it was I saw everything. And I realized I have the privilege to know God, so I'm going to use my voice to talk about it. I used to be scared about talking about God. People knew I was a Christian somewhat. They knew I went to church and stuff. But, I denied them a lot of times, and I just did whatever I wanted to impress others. So I have a Bible verse. Galatians 1:10. Probably should have opened it up in the beginning. Okay. Am I now trying to win the approval of human beings or of God? Or am I trying to please people? If I were still trying to please people, I would not be a servant of Christ. So I know a lot of kids that I go to high school with that say they're Christians and they put John 3:16 in their Instagram bio, but they don't live a life for Christ. And so you can't be a Christian and still live for the world. It just can't happen. You can't do both. And I didn't think that for a while. Like, before I went to camp, once Christianity started becoming a little bit cooler in high school, I'd be like, oh yeah, my dad's a pastor. I'm a pastor's kid, PK. And I'd put the verses in my Bible and I'd share them, but I didn't really think about them. I just thought I'd put the ones that are cute. I'd always read New Testament, not the Old. But once I started living for God, spiritual battles, man, they're crazy. They cray. So, 1 Timothy 4:12 is also a verse. Don't let anyone despise your youth, but set an example for the believers in speech, in conduct, in love, in faith, and in purity. So like I said, now that I have a relationship with God, and I've started to see how thankful I am to be able to know God and have parents that raised me like that, and seeing everyone I grew up with not really knowing him, I want to use my word for it. But as a teenager, it's scary to go out and say that because you're afraid of getting judged because you're so young. And it sucks, but there's a lot of older people that will put down youth as Christians because they think, they don't actually really care, they're just saying that. But we do. In our youth group, it's gotten pretty intense in there. We care. So don't let anyone talk down on you about being a Christian just because you're young, because you still have a word to say. But I'm content in knowing that God has a plan for me. So, I don't want to pressure you or anything, but it's a big change once you surrender it to God, and I highly recommend it. All of my pain and anxiety and stress of what people thought of me was all gone once I gave my life to God. Give God control, even though it feels scary. The day I gave my life to Jesus, it was as if a weight was lifted off of me, and it felt as if my heart was literally made pure. Because when I felt as if the entire world had turned on me and no one cared about me, he was always there. When I felt like everything was over and I was crying in my room alone, he was there for me. And he's pretty great. So just a reminder that this world is not your home. So you shouldn't care. You shouldn't care about what any of them thinks of you. This world won't ever love you like God does. This world will never satisfy you like God will. He's waiting for you, and he'll wait for you forever. He always has been, and he always will. He has a plan for you. That's it. That was really nerve-wracking.
You did good. You did good.
Testing. Oh, this is loud. It's a hot mic. Excellent work. God is good, isn't he? Beyond proud is this church for you, Michaela. God is using you and every one of these youth members in this church for many great things, and he continues to build upon his greatness here. I am extremely blessed to have as much God-fearing I've seen in a long time. For them to be able to stand up and talk in front of elders, in front of parents, in front of adults, and say, I am God's, and nothing will take that away. I may cry, who knows? God is so good, isn't he? I pray every day for my youth. And what Michaela's done today shows me I need to pray more for my congregation too. For you all to stand up and speak about God. For if not the young, if they can do it, why not us? We need to be continuing in prayer for the youth. For Satan attacks them more than you can imagine. Especially more and more as time goes on. With all the movements that's happening, the youth is attacked. Satan will start at the base. If he can prevent them from becoming Christians, that's where he's going to be. He's going to start with the youth. But strong in heart is this youth. And strong with God with them. So I want the youth to come up. To the side right here on the left, on my left. And I want the congregation to come up and pray over them. If you wouldn't mind.